Hi, nice to see you again. I'm Dr. Chengzi the Orange. Today we're picking up our Godfather style story of kidney transplant rejection. If you watched videos 1 and 2, you'll remember that Chubb Kingdom made it through both hyperacute and acute rejection, and then lived with the borrowed wastewater factory for 8 years. Sounds like 8 quiet, peaceful years. Like children enjoying a sunny afternoon with their gentle, lovely teacher, right? Nope. On the outside, everything looked calm, but deep down, the kingdom could never really relax. The king always had a nagging feeling that trouble was brewing behind those walls. Maybe the local guards were grumbling. Maybe someone was messing with the machines or starting little fires inside the factory. He knew one thing: even a tiny problem could quickly turn into big trouble. Once the king turns to a delicate yet invasive tactic. He dispatches a specialized drill, the biopsy needle, to quietly pierce the factory wall, seize a few crew members, and even pry off a tiny piece of machinery, searching for signs of rebellion beneath the surface. If he finds too many discontented workers, dead kidney cells, rogue agents, NK cells, overzealous cleaners, macrophages, or traces of fresh explosions, complement activation, then it's clear. Rejection is already underway, and it's time to send reinforcements, stronger immunosuppressants, before the entire factory collapses. But the method is far from perfect. It's risky. Even a pinhole can damage the factory and harm the workers. And it's expensive. With the kingdom's tight budget, the pre-insurance price tag of $4,500 feels like losing an arm and a leg. So the king gathers his consultants to brainstorm more elegant solutions. Is there a way to watch the factory closely, maybe even in real time without slicing it open? After combing through the latest technologies, the team proposes 2 cutting-edge strategies: sensor-based smart monitoring, biomarkers, and the high-tech eye in the sky, molecular imaging. The first method relies on tiny microsensors to detect suspicious chemical leaks from the factory. Whenever the borrowed factory comes under attack, accidents and injuries among its workers are almost unavoidable. When foreign workers are injured or killed, their DNA shatters into fragments that escape into the circunet, blood, and even flow into the factory's sewage system, urine. These magic detectors can pick up those precious traces, known as donor-derived cell-free DNA, dd-cfDNA, making it a highly promising monitoring tool. But here's the catch: the signal isn't always specific. Rising levels of dd-cfDNA could just as easily be caused by a viral or bacterial infection, or even by vigorous physical exercise. On the other hand, if the attack on the factory is mild and few workers are harmed, the microsensors may fail to detect anything at all. And to top it off, each test comes with a hefty price tag of about $3,000. The second strategy, the high-tech eye in the sky, would launch a PET or SPECT molecular imaging to peer inside the factory without breaching the walls. It could reveal hotspots of small-scale police worker skirmishes, inflammation, bad repairs and warped beams, fibrosis, and even the stealthy movements of attacking troops, immune infiltrators. Cool? Absolutely. However, this method remains limited. Around the world, it is still in its trial stage. Even with heaven's gaze, if something is truly stirring behind the walls, you cannot be certain. And so, the Chubb Kingdom actually has no effective way to monitor the wastewater management factory in real time. Here is a cruel truth. From the very first second the factory arrived, resistance never stopped. Remember those T cells, B cells, and plasma cells that transformed into memory cells during acute rejection? They're still here, dormant soldiers, silent, watchful, everywhere. They lurk in local police stations, lymph nodes, patrol the circunet, hide within the skin walls, occupy other factories, organs, and even reside inside the foreign wastewater management facility itself. They pass alarm leaflets, brew chemical weapons, and stir up small-scale disruptions, quiet, constant signs of mistrust. The most terrifying part? At any moment, they can wake and return to war. As for the foreign workers in the waste factory, they can never truly be naturalized. Even after more than 8 years in the Chubb Kingdom, they cannot shed the DNA of their motherland or disguise their distinctive HLA badges. And so they become the constant targets of rogue agents, NK cells. Each strike may be small, but 1,000 tiny cuts accumulate and lead to inevitable death. Alongside them roam the public works contractors, monocytes. They drift through the circunet without staying long, but when explosions occur, they rush in and transform into construction crews, macrophages. Their intentions? Unclear. They claim to repair, but their work is crude, quick-dry cement here, gravel patches there, until the pipelines narrow, flow slows, and the foundations shrink. Over the years, fibrosis and intimal thickening take root. The damage becomes permanent. Then, during routine surveillance, the engineers bring grim news. Wastewater output is abnormally low. Protein content dangerously high. Classic signs of a failing factory. The king and his consultants act fast, throwing everything they have at the crisis. Rituximab to strike at B cells. Bortezomib to cripple plasma cell production. Eculizumab to block the landmine chain reaction, complement activation. Each brings only modest, uncertain results. Finally, they deploy felzartamab, a targeted monoclonal antibody meant to silence antibody-producing plasma cells and some NK cells. It brings brief hope but does not last long. And then on a dark Monday evening, exactly 8 years and 1 month after its installation, the factory shuts down for good. The king, the consultants, the citizens, even the immune cells who once led the attacks, now all understand. The kingdom has only 2, maybe 3 more years before collapse, unless another wastewater factory is installed and the cycle of fighting fragile peace begins again. What's done is done. The door to life is slowly closing.